welcome to the ICT Pulse podcast. I'm Michelle Marius, your host and the editor and publisher of ICT Pulse, the online platform where we discuss ICT issues from a Caribbean perspective. Welcome to another episode in our Know Your Neighbor series. Today, the country we will be exploring is Guyana. Located in the northeastern portion of South America between Venezuela and Suriname, and covering just under 250,000 square kilometers, around 83,000 square miles, the Cooperative Republic of Guyana is the only English-speaking country in South America. Although it is almost the size of the United Kingdom, Guyana's population is about 1% that of the UK's, with approximately 786,000 inhabitants. Rich in natural resources such as gold, bauxite, and more recently, oil was discovered, and terrain ranging from the Amazon rainforest and savanna to the local coastal plains where much of the population resides, Guyana has been experiencing a resurgence over the last few years and has become one of the most attractive locations in the Caribbean for investment. However, what does the country's telecommunications and ICT space look like, and to what degree is it being leveraged? These are just a few of the questions we'll be answering in this episode. We are thrilled to have Samantha Sheoprashad, who has a background in computer science and is one of the co-founders of Trifinity Solutions, a digital media agency in Guyana, where she is also a multimedia designer, among other things. Outside of her work at Trifinity Solutions, Samantha is a Facebook developer, a social entrepreneur, a CARICOM Youth Ambassador, a Global Peace Ambassador, and one of the recipients of the Queen's Young Leaders Award in 2017. Samantha, welcome to the podcast, and that is a mouthful of things that you are doing.
And thank you very much, Michelle, for having me on your podcast, ICT Pulse, and greetings to all your followers and viewers as well.
So, Samantha, to set us upon a good foundation for the discussion that is to come, can you just continue with the overview that I had started about Guyana?
Well, Guyana is basically a very unique place, how I see it. And we're a land of many waters, and we have 6 different race here, ethnic makeup. And we're very diverse culture and set of people. And mostly we have like a lot of holidays and culture and background being celebrated back home here. And one thing I know about Guyanese people is that they are very innovative as well too. With some of the things that I've been seeing over the years when it comes to Guyanese, um, apart from that, our country shares, as you would have mentioned recently, is now discovering oil, so that's a great opportunity I see for young people. Um, I think that we have right now a lot of opportunities for young people and persons coming from out of Guyana as well.
Okay. Now, if we're going to focus, our conversation is really about the telecommunications and ICT space in Guyana. So, can you give us a sense as to how developed it is in Guyana and, players, competition, and so on?
With regards to the ICT sector in Guyana, I think we are now developing, and there is greater scope for much more development happening in our country. And when it comes to competitors, we are still in some problems with our ICT infrastructure and our data arrangements with the telecommunication company, with one of them holding monopoly, right, over the others. So the competition sometimes can be very tricky when it comes to sharing that responsibility to delivering more adamant services to public consumers.
Understood. Yes, I understand that there is the incumbent, I think it's GTT.
Network.
Yes, that they still have a monopoly in some of the segments. And from what I understand, the government has been trying to engage them on discussions to probably end their license, their monopoly license, earlier than, well, sooner rather than later. But I gather that there has not been any sort of meaningful developments on that front as yet. What have you been hearing?
That's very true, but I can tell you that there have been some work in the back burner by the Public Telecommunications Department for this to happen, because I remember the minister speaking about wanting this to happen so that people can be able to access data. And right now, data is one of the, I must say, basic necessity of living, right?
Mm.
It's food, water, shelter, clothing. So now it is data, because we are relying on data to support us with information, so that anything happen, you need data, and the average Guyanese don't even have access to proper data. You buy a data plan, and sometimes within the day you use the data plan, it's over, and I would say it's pretty expensive. A lot of people don't still don't afford it, and I think digital has been giving some options out there where you can get like a monthly plan and all of that to fund your phone, and then you get free minutes and so forth. But I can tell you that work has been in progress to get all of these things done. But I think we need an urgent solution to solve this data problem, because even with the internet, we have like um, problems using the the normal internet, or DSL,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes you get problems with the telephone line. Like for example, my telephone line would be ringing, and the internet would just cut off, right?
Okay. Mm.
So there's some challenges. I know the government would have also expanded to some rural community, giving them internet from their ministry, Wi-Fi, and they had wanted to digitize the entire government system, so that people can, if they go into a government agency, they have access to Wi-Fi and all these things. And I know that in some community, it's very difficult because they don't have internet access, and they don't have that reach. So even though they might have internet set up maybe at a school or a hub or something, still they don't have the strength of internet or bandwidth that is needed. Because I'm working with some young people from Bartica, and that's the gateway to our hinterland. And what happened is that sometimes we have to use voice note. Sometimes, well, most of the times I cannot connect with them to do a simple video call or even a simple voice call, because there's always problems with them hearing on the other end. It's not receiving, the data packets are not transferring, and those challenges are very hard for me sometimes when I want to reach out to the rural community, and that is not there. So I think that's something that we really, really need to work on, giving people more access, especially in the COVID-19 time like this, where you have to practice social distancing and all of these things.
That's so true. Okay, you did share a lot, so let's begin to unpack it a little bit. So, in terms
Mhm,
of providers, so we have GTT, you have
mhm.
Digicel. Are there any other major service providers in Guyana that we probably ought to be aware of?
I think there was e-networks
Mm-hmm.
right now. I think they would have done fiber optics recently. So I'm not sure whether the arrangement happening out of their network, but I know this recently start offering internet packages to
Mm-hmm.
people, somewhere around $75 a month.
Okay.
But I've never used their services, and people said their services is good, but their services still goes through GT&T.
Okay. And what about Digicel? I guess Digicel offers like mobile services. Anything else?
Digital is more mobile, yes.
Okay.
And they do their services all when internet and telephone and stuff, all through mobile services.
Okay. And I guess GT&T is offering probably like fixed line, mobile, as well as internet services.
Yeah,
Okay.
they do mobile, and they also have the traditional landline services.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then they have the different ranges of internet service
Okay.
that they provide.
Okay. And now just talking about access, which you mentioned, and the accessibility of services. So from what I gather, how Guyana is laid out, most people live along the coastal plains, which is pretty flat, and therefore probably I would assume that connectivity should be pretty good along that area. But then you mentioned like the hinterlands and that might be where the challenges are. But so do you agree that the connectivity in on the coastal areas where most of the people live is relatively good and service is accessible, or do you still find that even in the even in those flat areas that people are still not able to sorry, let me say that service is not available? Is service available, or it's more a question as to whether or not people can afford the service?
Um, I would say it's all of them,
Mm,
right? Because there is there is that part where some people, because I work in communities and a lot with young people, there are some cases where people cannot afford the internet services, right?
mm-hmm.
They can't pay that bill every month, right? And there's some cases where people have the internet service, but there's always challenges with it, or there are some challenges with it. Then there is the other part where the rural community don't have that much connectivity all the time. So the thing is, when you do look at it and you weigh out all the options, there are the pros and there are the cons. While an area might be boosted with internet connection, how great is the quality,
Mm,
right? How good is the quality of the internet? While the most populated area in Guyana, which is the coastal plain, people have it, yes, but sometimes we do have a lot of challenges with our internet service. So these are some of the things that I think was and still there, and I think COVID-19 have definitely exposed some of our challenges even more, that was in the back burner for some time, and needed a great level of solution to solve some of these problems.
understood. And as you've mentioned COVID-19 a few times, how has Guyana been coping with COVID-19?
Well, I can tell you this, that there's a lot of students who do not afford internet is being left behind.
Mm-hmm.
Bright people being left behind. We don't have a system in place to do a lot of online training. There's a lot of companies now starting up to provide solutions, but there haven't been a national system in place. That's one. Two, when it comes to dealing with this matter, I think that it is not handled well, because sometimes you see people gathering. People have privileges when they're gathering. Some people have privileges when they're gathering. um, it's 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 um it's something that we haven't prepared well for. And then
Okay.
there are people at home, right? Okay, if we're asking people to stay at home, are we going to go on a full lockdown? There is no stimulus package. Some areas would receive support while some don't. And while, remember, people are now working, where would they feed their family from? How would they feed their family? All of that is very pressing, because sometimes I'm online, and well, people would normally message me because I'm always connected to the community. Sam, can you help us out? We don't have any groceries. um,
Okay.
So those are some challenges right now, people are faced with,
Okay.
and I'm afraid that the population that is living below the poverty line is really, really affected.
Okay. In your opinion, and to what degree do you think that the government, so public sector, and also separately private sector in Ghana are leveraging ICT?
I think that they are now beginning to leverage ICT and technology as a way of growing their business. It's now beginning to happen, because before you would find that people sometimes would, not wanting to pay for a website, or people would not want to do online media, because the traditional mindset is still there, right? But I see a lot of business there on social media now. They're taking advantage of some of the online service and products that is offered. I think they're now realizing the power of the internet and how it can be used to reach people, because some people start their business, their daily their daily bread online right now. I have a few friends who were doing that, right? So they would put out an item online, and people would request to purchase it, and then they have the delivery guy who take it to them in this time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I see a lot of e-commerce business have started to get popular online. Also, the delivery aspect of it is something that is much, much more popular. And the private sector, the government, and other organizations who are key involvement in pushing and driving technological communication in Guyana, I think they have a much more important role to understand how they can drive it in a much more effective way. Because sometimes there are things that we're supposed to do to create these policies and infrastructure that will serve our people, but like there's so much of red tapes, there's so much a turnaround time. Like we can get something done. I think we can get something done within a matter of a couple of months. But
Mm.
then, like it's so dragged out, right? And that's one of the things that I really don't appreciate. I think they can also, staffing within the government can also utilize ICT to transform our public spaces. Because when you go to some of the government agency, and I was speaking to a young lady this morning about this, when you go to some of the government agency in certain parts of the country, they're still using notebooks
Mm.
and paper write up, when we can have these systems, online databases where you can put information, some simple stuff. I know GRA have our revenue authority, that is,
Yes.
have transformed some of their services online, so people didn't have to like go and line up and stand up and be there. Even some of the banks have sought to utilize some of the online technology. And then recently, I start seeing payment options becoming more popular with the bank in Guyana, several banks in Guyana, and GT&T have one called MMG, right? So that they can pay you through your telephone. You can go to an MMG agent and be paid. So those are some ways that persons are utilizing the technology within the government, private sector agencies.
Mm.
And
Understood.
I think now some people are beginning to realize a tip of how ICT is useful, because I know people would have spent a lot of years trying to sensitize the public and trying to sensitize people from moving away from traditional means of communication, and put their business on the front line. So I think now people starting to realize that, and I'm very happy, because even though COVID has its bad, there is its good side too.
Understood. So just going back to COVID, how have people been leveraging? Have you seen any improvements or changes in how technology is being leveraged due to COVID-19?
Yes, we have like Zoom classes. People are attending, even down to the universities are using Zoom to do their online classes. A lot of the businesses are using messengers, bots, and online medium to do business transaction right now. And I would say that is really, really powerful because a person like me, I probably hate going out there and do business sometimes
Mm.
because of some of the inefficiency. It makes me very, very impatient sometimes with having to wait long line where I have my time and I consider my time, I program my day, I consider my time being used efficiently. So sometimes persons would have to wait pretty long to get a transaction done. Now it can be done online. If I, I don't have to go to a store to get something. Like I wanted a dress for my birthday, so I saw the dress somewhere and I couldn't find it back. I just posted up online and somebody tagged me on it, right? And then
Mm.
the person who's handling the business connected with me. So you see how fast it is.
Yes. Well, that's wonderful.
So yeah. And one thing I want to make mention of is that a lot of small business now is using technology to their advantage to grow their business online, and that is something that I had always wanted to see, and I'm glad that they now recognize that's something that they had to do for a pretty long time.
Absolutely. Now, that actually brings up two questions I want to ask you because since you work a lot with youth, I was wondering
Mhm.
how might their thoughts and perspective with regard to technology and ICT differ from what might be currently the status quo in Guyana?
A lot of young people are using technology to their advantage in getting business done, in getting studies done, in launching online platforms that is basically promoting their vision and mission. One thing is that there's so much of talents online. There's so much of people with relevant skills, but the payment aspect of it is sometimes not completely there, protecting them. So cybersecurity and all of these things are some of the risks that are there. So when it comes to young people being involved in using online platform, they're still vulnerable as well. But I know that they have been utilizing the platform. As for example, TikTok videos.
Mm.
Um, I haven't used TikTok as yet, but I know they use a lot of TikTok and Snapchat um, to get their messages out there. And, it's obvious that people want to tell a story. And if you have a platform that is powerful enough to tell that story, people will use it. Um, I read a story the other day. A young man quit his job to start doing TikTok videos,
Mm.
right?
That's in
Um,
Guyana?
yeah, right here in
Oh,
Guyana.
wonderful. Okay, interesting.
So I'm not sure how is he earning from it or how is he making a livelihood from it. But that was something that I was like, wait, they understand this technology more than I do. I see the news media, the news is using live now to stream to stream almost everything that is happening. Um, And I noticed the courts in Guyana are using technology to stream their court cases that has been happening. For example, CCJ have been using that. I know the appeal and the High Court recently start using Zoom. So they're no longer meeting face to face in a courtroom. They're meeting on Zoom and they're doing their thing.
Well, yeah, their proceedings. Well,
Yeah.
interesting. Interesting. Oh, and the other question that came up, since you are co-founder, I wondered
Mhm.
what is it like to be an entrepreneur in Guyana? So, what do you think about the country's startup culture and startup environment?
I don't. think we have so much of a startup culture and environment here as yet. We have a buy and sell culture where everyone thinks a business is about a buy and sell. There's not like management kind of thing happening all the time. I think we need to create those conditions for startup culture. And recently we had a program. Um, I think it's the Global Entrepreneur and Innovation Program GP2 in Guyana. And it was done with students all over the world. And it's an exchange program that's done between UMass Lowell and University of Guyana. And I'm really happy that young people are able to access that training this time for free. Because when I had done it, we had to go to the US and so forth, right? So I'm glad that persons would have been able to access that program because it helps to promote small business development and startup culture. There's some organization in Guyana right now trying to promote small business, right? But not everyone get access, right? Not everyone can win some of the funding. So I think that what would happen is that the education when it comes to entrepreneurship and startup needs to be out there more, and that is why we have taken the initiative to build a system that will promote entrepreneurial ecosystem in Guyana, because you know that we have a very high youth unemployment rate according to the Caribbean Development Bank, and I think it's about close to 40%. All right, and we also have crazy poverty statistics as well. And for us to eradicate these kinds of social challenges that we have, we need to ingrain in our people's mindset the entrepreneurial mentality and giving them that power of knowledge and tools that will enforce them to act and enforce them to do better. I think that's something that we need to be more stringent about, and this would help to open more doors for young people like myself.
Understood. You had mentioned about we building an ecosystem. Who is the we and what is the wood that you're talking about there? Because I got the sense that it was separate from whatever government might be doing. So like a private initiative.
So the we is Trifinity Solutions.
Okay.
And actually, it's one of my idea that I conceptualize in building a digital entrepreneur ecosystem that would give people opportunities. And we started out just helping young people to find jobs. And then we noticed there is a influx of migrants coming to Guyana, and Guyana being a host community right now, we have to be very more inclusive when it comes to persons integrating into our community. So just recently, we just made it official that we are working to help migrants as well, and that's something that we developed. So the ecosystem basically comprised of three parts: one, the academy; two, the job bank; and three, a mentoring platform that connects persons who want to, they might have the academics, but then they may not have the experience. So those are some of the key features of the system, among a few more that I'm not allowed to talk about right now.
Okay, no problem. All right. So that's now looking at the business landscape. So if someone outside of Guyana wants to do business in Guyana, wants to set up a business in Guyana, what are key steps you would recommend?
I would say that, first of all, if like any other business person would want to start a business, you have to do some research, understand your target audience, and scope out the competition that is very much needed. And I want to emphasize on this: make sure that it's benefiting Guyanese, right? And it's giving back to Guyanese as well. So if person want to do that, do some feasibility study, understand the markets and its risk, look at the legal proceedings in setting up a business for Guyana, and look at your business model canvas and make sure that it's clearly defined, you know what you are about to do, and ensure you look up at all the agencies that is relative to creating a business in Guyana, and check up on their information that they have, how you can get registered legally, um, step by step. Some of the government agency, they do have that information, and then you look at setting your business up here, and then you market your business and your services out there. And once it's of benefit to people, people will definitely look at supporting the business.
Right. Absolutely. So, what about now tech related trends or tech business related trends? So, either tech trends you're seeing generally or tech trends that you're seeing within the business space. What are you seeing in Ghana?
There's a lot of online business happening, selling products and services right now. There is the oil industry where persons are positioning themselves to serve the oil industries. For example, transportation. People are now getting their business registered, and I think they have the ISO standardization procedure that they have to follow, and they're doing all the necessary requirements to get their business involved with the oil industry, providing a product or a service to persons who are going to come here. Another thing that I see trending right now is office spaces and renting.
Okay, great. And I guess office space in terms, are you talking like co working space or
Yeah,
just, okay, all right. So, oh, that sounds great because at least I think in many other countries across the region, entrepreneurs, the startups are finding it difficult to find, what might be cost effective office space that they can, pull their team together, even if they
hmm
don't want to be resident there on an ongoing basis, but someplace where you could go and, convene meetings or just be able to sit down with like-minded people and so on. So if that is happening in Ghana, I think it does probably augur well for all of the effort that probably you and others are putting into developing the ecosystem.
and I think a lot of the challenges that we are facing right now is basically opportunities for us to look at some of these trends, analyze them, and follow up with them and provide services based on some of them.
Hmm. Okay, you want to just expound on those challenges a little bit more? So, what are some of the challenges that you're seeing that probably could help to improve the degree to which Ghana is leveraging ICT?
So I think that some of the policymakers themselves don't even understand the depth and the power of technology. So when they're making policies and infrastructure that would really govern us, there is not anything new sometimes. And I think that most of the times that ICT is left in like an infancy stage. For example, the if you have nothing to protect your ID, right? We are still waiting on some of those laws to
Mm,
resurrect, quote unquote, resurrect. I think that some of these challenges that we are now having, with business getting more access to finance, right, is something that needs to be looked at, because there are a lot of small businesses out there. And not just finance, I think they also need mentorship too,
mm,
because you can get the finance, but how do you use this finance efficiently to carry out a task or a goal, right? So most people, they, like I said, mentioned earlier, they would have this buy and sell mentality, right? And we don't put aside anything to take care of the business come 5, 10 years down the line. All right.
Exactly.
Um, so those I see some of the challenges, and I know that the policy for once is a great challenge on people because within the ecosystem, you can have the education sector, you can have all of the other sector that functions with the technical skills and all of that. But if you don't have the policies that are there to improve the way how we are operating, well, then that in itself is a serious challenge because from various other countries, it's the policy that makes it work. It's the policy that drive national development
Mm,
and personal development as well. Because once you have national development, you will have personal development, business development, community development, and all of that.
understood. Yes, most definitely. And my final question, what are some of the tech related opportunities you are seeing in Guyana?
Um, right now, there's a lot of opportunities in the educational sector. There's a lot of opportunities when it comes to innovation, creativity industry, coding industry, STEM industry. There's a lot of opportunities here because people want the job to be get done simpler, or people want to use technology to get the job done because technology have been providing a range of opportunity, ease of use as features and so forth, so that persons can get the job done in a timely manner, more efficient, and we're improving from a lot of traditional ways of operation, right? So I think there's a lot of opportunities when it comes to the creative industry and persons creating their own job, and that's something that I had to do, right? Because it was something that was not there, and I had to basically go and create it, right? We don't have a job bank in Guyana, right? And one of the grave things that I suffered as a young person was finding employment, and I was just tired of going to interviews, and this is happening and that is happening, and then I realized that according to the CDB report, it's not just me. So it's not a personal thing,
Yes.
it's happening to a lot of people. How do we create these opportunities? Right now there's virtual opportunity that exists where people can work from home. People can now offer these services from their home. They don't need necessarily an office space. Sometimes you I have people who work from home, and we convene online, and we do our meetings online, we do our classes online. We even code and develop as in teams online. So the opportunities are endless, but we have to be very, very mindful that nobody's going to come create these opportunities for us. We have to create them for ourselves because we don't have some of those opportunities here. We already have a crisis with helping young people to find job. Now we have to step out there and create those opportunities. And I tell this to every young person that in every crisis is a hotbed for innovation. And you have to look very deep within you to find those solutions. If you are facing the challenges and the problem, it means you have that solution within you. But you might have to go through a lot of trials. You might have to go through a lot of situation to get this done because the digital ecosystem, I was talking about it for more than 4 years, and when I was talking about it, it wasn't so popular. Like people were like, what is she talking about? We don't know what she's talking about. And now it's becoming more and more used. The term has become more and more used, and it's definitely going to become a model that the world needs to adopt because we have to operate like an ecosystem. Because if you don't know, each one of us is reliant on each other for something, right? And we have to work co-independently to achieve some of our results. And that is why I always say collaboration is the key for community development. And we need to work together to achieve some of those results because some of the talents and skills um, that you might have. I would not necessarily have that.
That is so true. That is so
Yes.
true.
So I generally believe that young people need to step up right now to create those opportunities for themselves, or else we are going to be left behind.
Yes, yes, yes. Wow. Very insightful, Samantha. And
Thank you.
I am just so happy we've had a chance to connect and to discuss Guyana and where it's going. Clearly, it's a country with considerable resources, and certainly with the discovery of oil recently, Guyana, I think, more than almost any country, any other country in the region, has an opportunity to to reset and to hopefully springboard forward into, what might be a considerably brighter future than whatever might have been its trajectory, 15, 20 years ago. So I do recognize as well that telecommunications and ICT, based on what you've shared, probably needs some more attention. And COVID-19 may help, because I think many countries across the region have recognized the importance of technology because of the constraints that we had to experience through COVID-19. And that may be the shot in the arm that we need to really get policymakers and our key decision makers to commit to making certain changes that are crucial for us to really take the next step forward in transforming our societies. So I think that, hopefully Ghana is also taking on board a lot of the things that you have been saying. And I guess we'll hopefully see, whether or not in the next 5 to 10 years where the country stands. So thank you so much again.
No problem. And thank you very much for having me on. And I hope that I am able to be of great essence to your viewers and your listeners. And if any one of them should have any question, you can feel free to reach out to me, Samantha Sheoprashad, on any social media platform. And we can always connect because I love connecting with people.
That's it for today's episode. Thank you so much for listening to the ICT Pulse podcast. You can find links to some of the things we talked about on our website, ict-pulse.com. If you like this episode, please show your support by leaving us a review on iTunes, as it will help others find the show. You can email us at info@ict-pulse.com or drop us a note on our Facebook page, facebook.com/ICTPulse, or via Twitter @ICTPulse. We hope you'll join us again for our next episode. Take care.